What's up YouTube, Mellow and Matt here. As you can see from the screen today, we're doing a zero deck profile. We're actually going to be covering my Pacifica deck from the latest set. I have done obviously Pacifica on the channel before. This is now the updated version because the duo Legion of Victoria and Quancy really did buff the deck, and obviously we've had the buff to Roan herself. So we're going to cover the deck profile, get a couple of games in, and discuss what my opinions are on it at the end. Now, I know the main duo deck being discussed about is Nemoel and Victoria. I unfortunately myself can't do this because I am suffering in the pact of not pulling Nemoels, so I can't. Once I get the Nemoels, I will come back and do a Nemoel Victoria pure duos list. But until then, we have to deal with what we've got. Alright, start from the top. We have our starter. We have got, for the starter, Bermuda Triangle Cadet Weddle. Weddle's skill is on rearguard circle, put her into soul, choose one of your rearguards, and bounce it back to hand. This is really nice in combination of the Pearl Sisters. Obviously, you can bounce Pearl, give skill again to Perla. You've also got the fact of the Quancy herself, which is when she's bounced, Soul Blast 1, Cat plus 1, draw card, so you get the plussing there. And it also lets you realign your columns if need be, give the Yarmuk 3k boost if it's desperate for an attack. All around really good card. Then obviously we run the duo PGs because they work with Roan, one of each in SP and normal. Then we run 3 copies of duo Kura. Kura's got the skill of on play Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 2. This deck is a very heavy counterblast deck. So obviously the counter charge is very much needed. It's a really good card. I'd be lost without this card, honestly. And we obviously mix and match colours because they're duos. Then we've got Prism Duo Yarmuk. Yarmuk has been errated from the TCG. Yarmuk used to not have the hard once per turn stuck on her, but it needed to be done because they saw how bad non-once per turn named cards went when Azura drops. So, unfortunately, Prisms did suffer out of it in the long run, but it's a really nice card. So, Yarmuk. Skill is, once per turn, if a unit was returned from your field back to your hand this turn, she gains power plus 3000 per turn until the end of turn. And the last bit saying you could only get this power for 1 unit bounced, you don't get multiples. So, obviously, she's in the deck more for the fact of you've got 12k attackers for Pacifica, so obviously this then makes 21k column when called out when you obviously bounce something, so it's a really nice scaling number. But outside of that, there's not much else really to add for the deck, so her being there for the 21k column potential, it's 18k as well for the basic 9k attackers, so scales against cross rides, but outside of that, it's just literally a slot filler. Then honestly, last grade one of the deck is the best one, which is Pearl Sister Pearl. Pearl's got the skill of, when placed on rearguard circle, choose one of your Pearl Sister Pearlers, and it gets the skill of Vanguard rearguard circle. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, soul charge 1 and draw a card. So obviously it builds up your soul, it helps build up your soul for your Puras, and it also gives you extra draw power in the deck to build up an early hand, to try and find the Roans, the PGs, the combo pieces you're looking for. All around solid card. Down to the there's the SP. Grade 2s, we have got the new duo port. We have got our duo Quancy. Quancy's skill is 1 rearguard circle when she's bounced back to hand. You can Soul Blast 1, Cat Blast 1, and draw a card. Obviously helps build up your drop zone for Legion. It gives you extra draw power. Her other skill is also she's got resist. So this is your hard counter to Lynx, to Kagero, to Paladins. It's what allows Bermudas to keep up in the meta. So it's a really nice card. Going to be a long time staple at this point. She's going nowhere. And obviously there's the SP one of them. Then we have got Duo Mini Heart Roan. Roan has been buffed from the global version. She now works on the Vanguard circle as well as rearguard circle. Her skill is, when she attacks and hits the Vanguard, you can count blast 1. Choose one of your duo rear guards, return it to your hand, and then search your deck for the card with the same name and add it to your hand. She's mainly in this deck, literally, for bounce PG, add PG. Or in some of the matchups, it'll be bounce Quancy, add Quancy. Those are your two main combos with Roan. She is very much a staple of the deck. She will not be going anywhere long into G, because PG searching is just too good. Then obviously you've got the white version. Then we have got Pacifica's 12k attacker. Literally here for the fact of if you've got a blocked back row, she can still swing at the Vanguard because obviously 12k. Scales with obviously Yama because we discussed earlier for the 21k columns. And then black and white versions. Then the grade 2, we obviously seen Pearl. Here is Perla. Perla's got the skill of Vanguard Rearguard Circle. When this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, you can Soul Blast one, choose one of your rearguards, and bounce it back to hand. Obviously, it's got multiple uses. You can either bounce up your Quancy to draw more cards. You can bounce up your Perlas to reuse again next turn. And obviously, bouncing the said unit also does activate Yarmuk's plus 3k if you need the extra scaling. Then on to the grade 3s. This is the new grade 3. I'm going to skip to the SP one because it's there. Can't see it much, but it is SP, I promise. Duo Victoria. Victoria's got two skills. The first one is obviously on Legion, Vanguard Circle. You can choose one circle, one rearguard circle that you have, and bounce the unit on that circle back to hand. If it was a duo card you bounced, search your deck for a card with the same name and return it to hand. The reason this is so key is the fact that it says circle, so it gets round locked units. So basically, duos now have an unlocker. This can bounce a locked rearguard, and if it was a duo, you then get a free unit out of it on top, which is really good. It can also be used obviously outside the lock to bounce PGs to get more PG cloning. But it's a really nice card. Its second skill is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you've got a unit middle column, she gets power plus 3000 power. So 23k attack on her own, really good card. Then I actually do run Duo Mir, Twin Sister Mir. Mir's skill is Break Ride. Vanguard gains 10,000 power, and Vanguard that rode upon it gets the skill of once per turn, Cat Blast 1, use any number of your rearguards, bounce them back to hand, and call two units from card hand back down to rearguard circles. So obviously it's your multi-attack enabler without being on Pacifica. It is hard once per turn named, because obviously in TCG you'd got the Mir rate combo of Mir would then restand, you'd get 2 Vanguard swings, you'd get double break ride bouncing. And in zero terms it's a bit too strong, so it had to be once per turn named, because the ability to do 8 attacks, force through all the PGs, everything scaling is just too much, honestly. And obviously her second skill is if you've got 4 more rear guards, she gets the power plus 3000. So I like it in this deck for the fact that I can then break ride this into Victoria, and then Victoria gets the 5 attacks. I can then finish up with Pacifica after that for another 4 attacks where needed. The other thing I do run is I do run the Pacifica break ride as well. The reason I run both break rides is because I do like the options, because obviously Mir works for your more aggro situations, whereas Pacifica is more a passive break ride skill of when her break ride skill is obviously 10,000 power, and Vanguard once a turn, when one of your rear guards is bounced back to your hand, you can choose a card from your deck and call it your rear guard circle. So obviously this is more the passive of if you bounce something with Victoria, you can then search deck for an intercept to then help protect you. Obviously you can still do the aggro side with Pacifica, cross ride and 5 attacks that way, but it's a bit more it has a bit more passive to Victoria. So having the options, so choose what you want depending on the matchup, is really nice. And I love the counteractive style it is. Then obviously the SP one, and then we're going to skip to the last SP because this one actually really shows I actually really like. As everyone knows at this point, Pacifica is my best G girl, is best OG girl. Literally, you'll never get rid of her. But this is the cross ride Pacifica. Obviously, has the cross ride base with top idle Pacifica, but we don't run it, so that doesn't matter. And her limit break skill is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may Counter Blast 2, choose up to 2 of your rear guards, bounce them back to your hand, then choose 1 card from your deck, call it to rear guard circle. So basically, it's your multi-attack enabler. You get to search for an intercept. You can even get, literally, searching for quantity in certain matchups with Pacifica is amazing. And then obviously, you can set up your 21k columns really nicely, because obviously she bounces 2 to activate your armor skill. You can then get 12k from deck, 21k column made. You're not guaranteed to be hitting over defensives if they've had double intercept. We do run 9 draws, 4 heals in this deck, because even though Bermudas have the mass draw and the mass filtering, you still need to draw into said key pieces. I have tested crits, it really didn't work. 9 draw is honestly the way to go. But that's it for the actual deck profile part. I shall cut back in once I've actually found a game, and we'll go from there. Here we go, we have found a game. Let's see what matchups we get. Reader versus Pale Moon. We actually see Pale Moon on the ladder. That's interesting. Oh, it's one of the Pastel Palais. So, one of the top names. So, key bits to note here. We do want to try and actually slow down their early aggro. So, we may choose to damage restrict their Arachika to grade 2 turn. So, looking at the hand, we've got the 1, 2... We don't need these 2 at this point, because we want to play a bit more of a slower game. Because they're going to want to try and aggro us, because it's Pale Moons. We are going first, so I can actually have full control. But our ideal game plan is they're going to want to rush us with the turn 2 Marasika 3 attack face play. It all depends on how their soul gets out. They did get to ride the Zelma, so they're in a good spot from there. And they get Anna and Upper Alliance, which I'm fine with. Draw trigger Lukier. Ooh, that's actually really good for us. So I can do this. And then we do Pearl. Bouncing again. As you can see, this is the main combo that you want in the early game to actually hit your draw power. I'm actually thinking I'm going to aggro him a little bit first. And then obviously we want Quancy here, because then I can use Perla to bounce Quancy and get a bit more draw power out of it. So I'll check he hits his Zelma damage, he's beautiful. And our drive check gives us nothing. His damage check gives him yet another draw. So obviously we then get 2 soul charges and draws. And then we soul blast. I'm going to soul blast the triggers here. How much hand do we actually have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, we can afford to do Clancy on top. We're now starting to build up our drop zone quite nicely for Legion. Next turn now I can... Oh, he didn't get the Marasika. That's interesting. So the aggro play was the right way to go for. So he's going to chuck that in. Go try and get the Ana to actually make plays. There's the Marasika. We need a defensive. Thank you, game. So now one of these attacks will be wasted. Unless he really wants to waste a Counter Blast on that. Yep, he's wasting Counter Blast on it. Okay, then. So, my plans for next turn now, he's going to push us to 4, so I'm actually going to go to turn Lardle, turn early. And I'll then come back down, I'll slow down the pace at later stage and come back to Quancy. But we'll do this, this, and this. Drop enough of a hand down that we actually not physically can't overdraw. Something like this, and then this. Skill, bouncing, 1, 2 back to hand. And we'll grab 12k attacker again, because obviously it'll then scale over no matter what. First check's draw trigger, really nice. Second check's another draw trigger, even better. As you can see though, obviously we've now hit the said counterblast situation of we've run out of counterblasts to work with for another turn of Eternal Idol. So what I'll have to do is obviously Victoria, re-legion back in to refill the deck of triggers. He'll force 1 PG from hand, looking at it. Yes, he gets his cross ride off, which obviously we've planned for in the fact of Yarmuk with any 9k. Oh, he's got a double PG, yes, because he managed to hit the Marasik off a soul charge. But we'll live the turn no matter what. If we hit a defensive, that's even better, because that means that 19k column on the other side actually can't hit us. Ooh, Zelma over Zelma, which was actually really weird. I don't know why he didn't put it over the Irene on the other side, but it's his choice. So obviously we PG here, we PG the next attack. We are going to put him on a 5 damage situation, so it's not ideal. Obviously, as I said, we'll ride Victoria so we can get some triggers back into deck. We've got Quancy. We have got Quancy's left, so I don't need to actually overcall stuff, which is good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to Legion put the 2 PGs, the heal, and a Victoria back. So I can then bounce the Quancy, clone the Quancy, Soul Blasting out the heal again. And try and get into an actual PG to live the turn. Because we're going to need a PG and we are going to need a heal. Right, so talking about heals, we Soul Blast one out. We got Mir. I'm fine with. Like, I know I could have stayed on there and forced the 4 attacks this turn. But his hand is very much screaming, I have a PG. So it wasn't worth it to me. Talking of PGs, thank you very much, game. But we're in an interesting situation now. If he's got to use up every single counterblast to get past me, he does get his 5 swings, 3 at face. Yep, he had to do that. I don't think he's actually got another. He's got to call out. He's got to come off cross ride is the interesting part. Oh no, he doesn't. He's going to call Zelma over the Ana. Fair enough. So it's going to hurt him more if I end up living this. If I've got 2 heals in deck. I do need 2 heals to live. But if I end up doing that, he's now lost any and all forms of pressure. He's got no honor, well, he's got no counterblast anyway at this point. Time to see if we heal. No, we don't. Well, bit of a shame, but at least I got to show off in this game the early pressure that the Pearl Perler gives. It just hurt the fact of he scaled every single attack, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. But Hails be Hails. It is a solid deck. It is going to be one of the future deck and fights when I actually get around to doing it. Here we go. And we're against Gold Paladins this time. So another interesting deck. One of, honestly, the top contenders of the format, because their non-stop superior calling's really good. We're going to do... I think we're actually going to keep the break right this time, because we can actually afford to be a bit slower. Bring me... Okay, that's an interesting start. Spring Breeze Messenger. We are going second, so we do get the extra draw out of it, which is nice. Ooh, that roam could be interesting to play with. If I draw into a PG. Unfortunately, we do end up having to ride 6k base. And there goes the PG. Didn't want that at all, by the way, game. Gold Paladins do get stupid on their second turn for the sheer fact of Aggravail, but he doesn't actually hit much to work with on his grade 2 turn. And there goes another PG. Am I going to draw the PG? No, I don't draw a PG. Okay. Right, so what we'll do is we're going to call you. And call you. We're going to play risky, but I like a bit of risk. And it pays off. Because now, I haven't got the soul. So we're not doing that risky play, because I forgot I need 2 soul for that play. So what I should have done there, which was my own misplay, was I should have used Weddle to bounce the Clancy up there to draw a card, but... I'm kind of nervous that he's going to go full aggro on my face anyway, so I still wanted the insect. Okay, he's not going full aggro on my face. Who are you and what are you done with the usual Gold Paladin players? They'd normally be murdering my face in by now. Oh, that whiffed heal hurts. So, looking at hand... I'd actually rather go for the mere play, so I can actually force 5 attacks the following turn. So what we'll do is we're going to do this, this, and this. Swing you here, going to swing Vanguard at the other rear guard, and then I'm going to use Roan, cause the Cat Blast to bounce the Yarmuk. More for the fact of, yes, I know I haven't got said Yarmuk, but I can still get the Counter Blast so I can then Soul Blast with Kura next turn to get the 4 and drop zone. That's more my key, what I need to do here. I need the drop zone. I don't want to overcall. This way I can Soul Blast out and actually get what I want. Because I can Soul Blast Mir out and then Legion Mir back in so I get the extra draw trigger out of it. Talking of calling over, you see him call over a Gancelot. But he has kind of screwed himself over slightly. The fact if he can only do 3 attacks this turn. We are obviously in the bad spot of no PGs in hand, so if he hits all 3 attacks at face, we die. But if we hit defensive, we're in a good spot. Oh, there we go. I like to see that. Oh, that's more interesting for us. Well, we'd hit defensive anyway, so even if we hit the Blaster Blade would be good. First check nothing, second check nothing. Really good. He's going to be able to Spring Breeze. What he's going to get, though, is a completely random story. It's not going to hit Vanguard no matter what. He's actually counterblasting just to wipe my field. Even though it's really... He doesn't even attack the rear guard over it. Okay. What we'll do is we're going to go face this turn. Obviously, use you. We'll call you behind the Vanguard circle. And Soul Blast 2. Countercharge the 1. I know it's not cost effective, but oh well. This, and the PG. Yes, I want to call the PG, because obviously, as we can now see, we'll use Victoria, returning Trigger, and you and the Roan, because Roan's always going to be useful for PG cloning. And obviously, we bounce the PG. Battle phase. Obviously, 2 Vanguard Pacificas will take out the intercepts. If he doesn't defensive, we now force double PG out of his hand, which is really good. But obviously, if we don't force gain this turn, we more than likely will end up losing for the fact of we've got no intercepts and only 2 PGs. Unless that happens. That's actually really good for the sheer fact of that's put a PG in drop zone that we can then re-legion back in. And we hit a draw, so we actually break over any defensives. Talking of defensive, he does hit the draw. Obviously, this forces a PG. And this, he doesn't have the PG. And there we go, this game. So then we cut. And we're back after the fights. As you can see, that Pacifica, while it is inferior to the Nemoel Infinite PGs, it does still hold its own. It's a really fun deck. You can still get the wins against the top decks, as you saw versus the Gold Paladins last game. I've even chucked this up against Mr. Allen from JP OG. We had a really good game against him last night. Didn't manage to record it, which is a shame because I really would have liked to. It was a bit back and forth. He was playing Cargaros, I was playing this, and it was a really good game. But I still held my own, and I'd have beaten him if he hadn't got triple PG in his hand. But that's it for this video. If you'd like to like, comment, subscribe, let me know your thoughts on Pacifica's improvements to the deck and what you'd like to see next. I am planning on... I have got lined up Neo-Nectars. We have got... both the overdressed decks in Nirvana and Magnolia. Magnolia, I'm trying desperately to get the 4th Leopold before I actually upload it, because I would rather, seeing as I'm that close, I'd rather upload the completed version. But after those 3, I think I've got Pale Moon left, and that's it. So, if you'd like to leave some comments below what you'd like to see, I can try and see if I can scrape decks together for them. But I am not a heavy spender in Zero. I am predominantly free to play. But I shall catch you guys in the next videos. Bye bye.